sleep to you. Ooh, a bad habit sleep to you.
Hi guys, Elena is my name. Today we're going to talk about when to end the date. Everyone always talks about what to do on the date, where to bring the girl on the date, but I like to talk about ending the date, because for me, ending the date is as important as the actual date itself. A perfect date ends on a high. Everyone always understands why Netflix and TV series, why they end after about 40 minutes and why they end on a cliffhanger. You understand why that happens, right? Say it back to me. Yes, you're correct. The viewer is incentivized to come back because he wants to know what happens in episode 2. The same thing happens on dates. When you're on a date and you're having a good time, the date follows what I call the enjoyment curve. I coined this term, and probably somebody coined it before me, but just let me have it. Okay, the enjoyment curve. Do you know what? We're actually going to draw it. We're going to draw it to make it simple for us to understand. I got these highlighters the other day, so let's put them to use. Let's get a piece of paper. I like keeping scraps of paper around. So instead of taking new sheets of paper, I take recycled paper all the time. Check this out. This is like sign language that one of the teachers in my school gave me because she teaches sign language. I think it's awesome. Right, I don't want to use that. Okay, one second. Okay, this one. The cleaning timetable of the house. I live with 5 other girls. Okay, we're going to draw the enjoyment curve of a date that happens on a date. Okay, are you ready for a masterpiece? A masterpiece is coming along. This is a bell curve, by the way, a bell curve shaped graph. This is your date, okay? This is the start of the date. And at the start of the date, the enjoyment is low. It is low because, number one, you don't know each other. You're just getting past the formalities. You could be shy. You're like, am I going to vibe with this person? Enjoyment is low. Now, hopefully, if you're on a good date, the enjoyment starts to increase. You start sharing jokes, sharing stories. You're laughing. Maybe alcohol is flowing. The enjoyment curve is rising. Now, this is the peak of the date. This is the part of the date where you're like, oh my God, this is the brilliant person. I'm having such a good time. As with every rise, there is always a fall. All the time. Rules of life. I don't make these things up. With every rise, there's going to be a fall. And just like that, on your date, you're going to experience a fall. Now, it doesn't mean you've said anything or you're a bad person. It simply means that after a certain time, person's concentration starts to go. Maybe they've had a little bit too much of alcohol. Maybe you've talked about a lot of things. Remember when you were in school and you had those back-to-back classes and the teacher just went on and on and on and you're like, get me out of here. I'm not learning anything. The same thing happens on a date. You do not want to end the date when the person is yawning, when the person is looking over their shoulder. What you want to do is you want to end the date. Where's my little graph? You want to end the date as close to the peak as possible. Why? Give it a guess. Think back to your Netflix. Think back to the cliffhangers. You want to end the date as close to the peak so the person has an incentive to go on the second date with you. You will have plenty of time in the future to tell her about your childhood traumas, to tell her that you go to a therapist because you have X, Y, Z. I mean, these things are important when you build a relationship, but on the first date, they're too much. When you prolong the date, you think you're bonding, but if you spend 6 hours on the date with somebody, they leave that date feeling, wow, I really like the guy, we bonded, but it feels like a heavy session, a heavy therapy session. And when they think of you, they associate you with that heavy therapy session time. So they're not going to be as quick to want to repeat that experience. It is not conducive to actually getting to the second date. I went on a call with this guy a few months ago. He was trying to understand where he was going wrong on dates and why these first dates did not turn into second dates. And now this guy he's attractive. He is what some women would call a catch. And he was telling me that he went on a date with a girl. He was excited about her. I think he met her at a party. He took her on a date to this hiking trip. According to him, the hiking trip was successful. They talked about a lot of deeper things, but it turns out that the hike went on for the whole day, somewhere around 10 hours. And I was like, bro, 10 hours. A lot of things can happen in 10 hours, but the chances of you maintaining mystery, maintaining interest, and not revealing personal details about yourself is extremely low. Ended on a high, and then the woman is going to be like, oh my God, that was great, but too short. I really want to see him again and repeat this experience. Guys, you've worked so hard to convince the woman to even go on a date with you. Do not ruin your chances. Personally, I think 1.5 to 2 hours is a perfect little medium. However, I have this personal rule which I followed when I was dating, but also I follow this all the time in my life, in my social life. Never go to the third location. You cannot convince me, nobody can convince me that the third location is where the fun happens. I have never heard anyone in my life say,
oh yeah, like the last club we went to was amazing.
No. Ever. Nothing happens after 2. It's true. It's true.
My bad habits lead to you. Ooh. My bad habits lead to you.
Nothing happens after 2, guys. The third club is always crap. People get sick. People get lost. People don't enjoy it. I go home after the second location. I'm in bed by 11:30. I've consumed 1 drink, maybe 2 Radlers maximum. I am good. The next morning, I have no morning regret. I'm not feeling sick. I am good. And this is what you want to be doing on the date. Take it. Do not go to the third location. Do not go to the third location. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Please give it a like. If you've gotten this far, you might as well. And I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.